Hello, Prof. Good morning to you. How are you doing this morning?
Doing very well, thank you, baby. Good morning. It's bright and sunny. As I think we stopped saying that because we're getting to summer
We're
anyway.
in summer, right?
We're saying all the time. But yes, good. It's getting a bit hot. I think during this week, it was a bit hot during the week, but
Yeah. As you said, maybe we need to stop talking about the weather now. But well, I wouldn't want to stop talking about it because if we think about how many months we had when like the winter, cold, rain, and all of that, and then the sun comes now. Absolutely loving the sun. I am loving it. So, wow. Viewers, thank you for joining us this morning. It is your favorite Sunday morning show. It is the SonRise, and we are here again. We hope you're well as well and also enjoying the weather. The weather is so beautiful. I don't know what Prof is talking about. Let's not go about it again. We are going to continue talking about it, please. So please do enjoy the weather. And of course, at this time, we should be seeing a lot more of you in church as well. You know, like it would be good to kind of have a mini barbecue with Prof. At Prof's house. Yeah, he's going to be inviting.
So make up your mind. Are you talking of church or are you talking of my house? Because they're not the same. I know some people think I live in church. It's not the
same. Yes. So, last week was really great. On this show, we're talking about the Open Door Challenge. I mean, that was something. It was something else. I remember finishing the show and saying to myself, I said, seriously? Really asking myself that question, like, okay, for real? Even though I knew exactly what's happened and all. And to think that we have had some developing, like something very interesting developed in the last week as well. And Prof, I'm sure you can guess this already. The Twitter ban. The Twitter ban in one of our most favorite countries in West Africa. Yes, we have to put it that way, right? And so I woke up to the news. Initially, I got confused. I wasn't sure what happened. I actually thought it was the other way around. Like Twitter banned the country, or the individual. And then I went online to read about it, and it was actually that because a tweet got deleted, and then we decided, or they, not me, they decided that, okay, how dare you delete the tweet? And then they banned Twitter. So basically in this country at the moment, citizens of the country, if you are there, you are not able to use Twitter. I mean, they are actually getting people charged for using it because people are still going via VPN to get through to Twitter, and they are really taking it seriously. And this goes back to what we have discussed on this show before. Remember in I think it was like the US election, the old Trump issue and all of that. And we were looking at the impact of, freedom of speech to all of this. And I thought, but Prof, this is probably one for Prof to handle because he seems to know the way these people think. Because if you really want to hear my opinion on this, I have to remember we're on a church platform. So yes, Prof, what do you have to say to this, please?
Excuse me, baby. How do I know how these people think? Oh my goodness. Is that what that means?
I think you do because you always just you're so gracious, like you try to look at it from their angle, and I do that as well. It's just that sometimes we have different grace. Yes, go on.
I know what you mean, and I guess yes, perhaps I will do that first before I say anything. So banning of social media platforms, or indeed regulating them, we have to say, number one, that conversation has been going on for a while. Outside of any particular country, in the West, across the world, many different governments have talked about how these social media platforms can be used to perpetuate, if we use that term, fake news or falsehoods, right? It's very easy to use them to spread unverifiable information. We saw that happening with the vaccinations. We saw that happening with the conspiracy theories surrounding COVID. We've seen that happen in certain situations where there have been protests and you have these conflicting narratives, and because they are unverifiable, you don't actually know who to believe. So I think that in the first place, yes, I do have to say that this is not a unique thing for this particular country. In fact, I believe that China has also been talking about potentially banning Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And I think also China have set up their own government-controlled network Yeah, social media network, if you can use that word.
Yeah.
I don't think social media will be the word. Maybe call it government media network. But either way, and what is the driver here? I think the key driver across all of these considerations that I've just mentioned will be around this tension between self-governance and self-determination and freedom of expression. I think that every government, every entity, but of course in this case we're talking of governments, has a right to self-governance without undue interference from external entities, right? The issue is that when you have an open platform such as Twitter and some of these other places where, number one, you don't just have people within the country commenting, you have people who are outside of the country commenting. And so the government, even if the government wanted to ask people, get people to, I guess, be responsible, right? Have consequences for their utterances. The government is not able to do that because these people are outside of their control. And so you already have that quandary and conundrum for a government saying, okay, so how do we deal with this? If you have somebody who's outside of this country and who's seeding dissent and who's kind of causing issues within the polity, hitting the polity unnecessarily, we can't actually do anything. Because they have access to this network. And so it's almost like this network is its own entity and its own government, but it's interfering with our own sovereignty because it's really affecting how we do things. So that's a quandary, I think, for any government, right? Yeah. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, you have free speech. How do you regulate the content that is posted and shared on such media without significantly and seriously infringing on free speech? And that's, it's a fundamental human right, right? To have a freedom of expression. Once you start talking of these things, then you have that question. And the third point, which is what you raised, is around, we saw this happen, right? And we had this conversation when Donald Trump was banned by Twitter, and we asked the question, where do you draw the line? The issue with doing that is you set a precedent. Once you've set that precedent, the question is, does it mean that once anybody who has a significant followership posts something that can be interpreted as hitting on the polity, you ban the person? At what point do you take action? Right? Some people might say that the action that was taken against Donald Trump was too late because then some people had already died. Yeah. Right? But how do you take preemptive action in that case without becoming, some sort of 1984 George Orwell style Big Brother, right? So, and then the final point is, well, not final point, but at least as far as this point I'm making is concerned, this bigger point, the final consideration is this idea that, I don't know whether you're familiar with the Kill the Bill protests.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Definitely.
Yes.
Similar to this, yeah.
Exactly, because the Kill the Bill protests were actually protests that happened here in the United Kingdom, and they really rocked certain, the cities where they took place, kind of held that city, tied it down, locked it down, because people were protesting against what they saw as an assault on free speech. And what it was that the government had wanted to introduce a bill that would give the government powers to make it significantly more difficult for people to hold protests. They seemed to be trying to cite the need for kind of leverage the pandemic laws, and saying, well, it's an extraordinary time and that sort of thing. And all of this came on the back of, again, we talked about the Sarah Everard situation where they protested, and then the government wanted to use that to say, well, the protesting isn't safe, and then they wanted to extend that. And people were saying, well, you're using this extraordinary situation as an excuse to create a situation or a law that would affect everybody going down. And it's not too different if you look at it that way, because the bottom line is that you have a government or a system, an institution that wants to clamp down on free speech and stop people from sort of expressing views that they do not agree with and they see dangerous to the government. So on the one hand, we have the right of a government to self-determination and self-governance without undue interference, both internally and externally, but most importantly externally. On the other hand, we have the issue of free speech. No matter how you do it, it's going to be an assault on free speech. As somebody said, that very famous quote, I may disagree with you with everything you say, but I will fight with the very last breath I have so that you have the right to say it. Because the moment you stop having the right to say what you want to say, it's a matter of time. It comes around to everybody, right? So, I'll stop there for the moment. I think there are a number of other things to talk about.
I think, you see, with what you said, I totally get it. I get it. And we did discuss this before on this show, where we're talking about how do you really control what people post on social media. You know, it is important that we don't prevent people from sharing their views on whatever it is that they feel they want to share, because that freedom of speech, it is there for a reason. It is human rights, right? And no one should do anything, if you like, to stop that from happening or from taking place. So when you think about where a platform like Twitter, for instance, decides to ban a country, let's say, maybe not a country, maybe a government, you know, a government or a system of the government in a country. And of course, doing that would have some sort of repercussions on the citizens. Is there not a way of, don't you think it is necessary for some sort of, if you like, some sort of dialogue to occur before that happens? Bearing in mind, you know, the funniest thing is, I have seen, especially like I've seen a couple of church leaders who have tweeted on Twitter, and they have said their tweets are being sent from different countries of the world and not necessarily from this country that the government has banned. So you can see that this is not just going to affect like ordinary citizens, it is going to affect organizations as well. So what happens with those organizations, be it for profit and non-for-profit in the country, that uses Twitter as a medium of reaching their clients, their customers, their consumers? What happens to them? Are they exempted from this, or, I mean?
So I think there were three things, right, that you kind of asked. One, you asked about the need for dialogue before taking action. Secondly, you talked about those who are finding ways to circumnavigate this ban by, you know, either being or claiming to be in different countries. And thirdly, you talked about the economic impact, or indeed wider impact beyond just the, if you like, political or whatever point is being made. So those three things: dialogue, circumnavigation, getting around the ban, and the real life impact of it. And if I take that in order, in terms of the dialogue, I think that you probably find that there are many different ways of negotiation, right? And if you've ever kind of gone to, I don't know, either you've done high stakes negotiation, either in a business context or even in a sports context, or just buying stuff in the market, you realize that sometimes you need to take one step in order to get the other step coming towards you. And sometimes if you spend a lot of time talking, nobody's going to take a step until somebody decides to take a step, and then everybody else is forced to react. So if you look at it from the perspective of negotiation, as far as I'm aware, it's been said that a number of diplomatic missions from different countries and now had been, as at the time of the ban anyway, and shortly after it, trying to negotiate with the Nigerian government. And it may well be that this has already borne fruit, and we just haven't got that information yet. But the thing is that suddenly, right, you have people coming up and saying, right, let's talk about this, right? And the information I also received was that there were certain tweets that had been in question from other people who were perhaps seen as having undue influence, even though they were outside the country. Those tweets had then become deleted, right? So as far as negotiation is concerned, you could argue that this is actually a negotiation tactic. And perhaps that might be the only thing that would make sense if you consider the other 2 points you made, right? Because if it's not a negotiation tactic, how do you sustain it? How long is it going to last for, right? There have been reports suggesting and, you know, indicating that there would potentially be significant economic damage caused by this for the reasons you already mentioned. So I think that if it's being looked at as a long-term policy, it might be a case of cutting off your nose to spite your face. So I think that if you look at it first as a negotiation tactic, then it might not be the flavor of the month, but it may very well be effective.
It may work,
So that's the first point. And then the second point is the whole idea of enforcement, right? There are people, of course, who may not have the reach of these organizations you mentioned. To individuals who are domiciled completely and entirely within that country, well, they would have to use VPN, like you said, virtual private networks, or other ways, which at this point would be perhaps illegal as far as that country is concerned, to try and access it. So you then have that issue. So if you don't have somebody that you can claim this person is, you know, if it's an institutional ID, for example, you can say, well, institutional ID that can be domiciled anywhere, so somebody else will just man that Twitter handle. But if it's your personal ID, it'll be difficult for you to say, I've given access to somebody who's outside the country to do it for me. You will still be responsible.
To do it for me,
You speaking. So, but I think that, yes, that's a way that organizations have started to try and get around it, which sort of, you know, I guess, makes a bit of a mockery of that ban. And then the final point, which I think perhaps is the most salient and most important of this, right? There are people, like we know, whose livelihood is derived from their activities on Twitter. There are people who, small and medium enterprises for whom Twitter is their entire marketing apparatus.
Yeah.
Once you take that away from them, they are not only losing business, they are perhaps even losing sustainability and their sources of revenue, because some get revenue directly either from sharing posts and helping to market other things. So there's an entire business model that has been developed, I'll say, in that country, but it would not be unique to that country. It will be something you would find in other developing economies, because of course, as a developing economy, there is growth, there's an exploration of other media that may not be as mature or as used in that same way in other countries. So you find out that there are lots of people who are going to be losing their livelihood, lots of people who may have to, the questions are going to be asked, right? Organizations, imagine a company that its entire work is providing social media, I guess, and the analytics for companies who use Twitter, and then suddenly nobody uses Twitter anymore.
Nobody uses it. What
do they do? Now, I don't think that there is going to be a long-term, because right now we're talking of something that's just over a week old.
That's right, yeah.
And like I said, obviously this is the weekend. For all we know, some of this stuff might have been resolved during the week, and we'll just get to find out when we come over to next week. But
so
the issue will become more pronounced if it keeps going on. Then companies will start to think about, so how do we go? I think for a couple of weeks, if this is a negotiation tactic and it's timed and it's going to end, then the third point may not be as much of a consideration. But if it's not a negotiation tactic, I think that if it comes down to who blinks first, is it Twitter who will lose a lot of members there, or is it the country who is going to be losing a lot of economic benefit based on that? I don't know who's going to blink first, but whatever the case may be, there's going to be a lot of damage. And as they say in one of the proverbs from one of our countries, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that
suffers. Yeah, I mean, it's really sad, and I know that what people are saying is that this is just the icing on the cake. Like we haven't touched anything yet. Basically, they are saying they might be coming for other platforms as well. And it is possible. We're not saying it's not possible. It's just when they're not thinking about the impact of this, be it long-term or short-term, on the citizens, on the corporations that are within the country. It's just, for me, I'm like, how can someone just wake up and then you decide, yes, this is the way to go? As you said, I'm choosing right now to see it as a negotiating tactic. I'm choosing to see it that way, and I'm trusting God that that's what it will be, and they'll be able to negotiate whatever it is they need to negotiate and get people back up and running.
Baby, there's an assumption we're both making here, and like you said, we choose to make that assumption. The assumption we make is that every leadership of every nation really cares about the well-being of its people.
Absolutely.
And they have their best interests at heart. We have to assume that, right? That's
what we are assuming. Bible says we should believe the best of ourselves. So we are choosing to believe the best of them right now. But anyway, thank you so much, Prof. With this, if we're to go on, we can spend another hour just trying to dissect and all. Viewers, I am sure you've noticed we didn't mention the name of the country, and that is very, very intentional, because to be fair, it is happening to this country at this particular time. We have seen it in other places, and there will be other countries that will be going through the same issue. And this is not just about focusing on just one country. It is talking about things that affect us globally. So it could be another country tomorrow. But for those of you that know the country we're talking about, please just pray when you're praying. And for those that don't know as well, when you're praying, just say, Father, Lord, that country they mentioned on SonRise, the country, please answer their prayers.
I suspect there's somebody else who knows the country apart from the Lord. The good old Google probably knows that country.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can consult Google to find out. But anyways, thank you so much all for joining us. Don't go anywhere. When we're back, it will be our Spotlight Minutes. See you soon.
See you.
Good morning, Pastor Yemi.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Oh, good morning, Minister Zubi and Balani. How are you guys?
Good.
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. You're looking so good.
It's a pleasure.
Wow. Pastor Yemi, I'm loving that pushing.
Yep. I see something motherland happening right there in the background. Very nice. I've got my own little, nod to motherland here, but it doesn't compare with what you've got, Pastor Yemi. Really impressive.
Thank you.
So while of course we've called you Pastor Yemi, and I think anybody that is on this call or watching this understands why we've called you Pastor Yemi. For those who don't know, Pastor Yemi, of course, is one of the pastors' House on the Rock. You would have seen her on the stage many times during the services. You would also have seen her leading some of the activities in the Teens Church if you're part of those. So we know that Pastor Yemi is very much a key part of what we do in the house. But like we always say, there's always more to what you see. It's not just about what she does on the Sundays and through the week. There are other things about her. Pastor Yemi, for these your adoring fans who want to know more about you, can you tell us one thing about yourself that they may not know?
I'm not sure about the adoring fans, but anyway.
You do have
I'm a
fans.
mother. I guess to start from the beginning, I'm married to Pastor Chris.
Oh.
We've been married for 24 years.
Whoa.
So next year, he has to take me on a special holiday.
Oh, yes. I'll make sure that happens.
Yes, please make sure you check him out for that.
Yes.
We have 2 children, 18 and 20. So I'm looking forward to my son going off to uni and me having my time to myself. Freedom.
Wow.
Thank you, Jesus. September, come quickly. I run 2 businesses.
Wow.
One is called Ankara OK, where we make soft furnishings with authentic African fabric. We have Adire, we have Ankara, and we have Ashoke. Some of our production has been halted a little bit because of the pandemic, but we still have a lot in stock, and it's stocked right now. It's sold on notonthehighstreet.com or directly from our website. I also run another company with 2 business partners, my husband and me, where it's called AZSP. It's A to Z service provider. One of the streams of it is African food delivery to your doorstep. So anything you need to make your African food, right from the meat, the fish, to the vegetables, even if you want ugu, shoko, name it, we'll deliver to your doorstep. And we even send frozen food, can be delivered still frozen the next day, things like that, made fish, anywhere in the UK we'll deliver. So does that.
You know, one of the things we might do here, baby, I'm already thinking business fair, because because now we have AZSB, we've got Tobacco Pantry, we've got a number of different, so we'll think about it. But Pastor Yemi, very impressive. So she's a mother, been married for 24 years, 2 children, about to go off to university, running 2 businesses. She's a pastor. This is a superhero right here in front of us.
I know.
We applaud you. Impressive, very much so.
Well done, Pastor Yemi. Do you know what? I always ask for freebies on this show. Everyone knows that. And so for the foodstuffs, I didn't know that you deliver anywhere in the UK. So
yeah, we do Leeds. We have customers in Harrogate, in Leeds.
Oh, wow.
In Yorkshire.
That is good. So yeah, you're about
Birmingham.
To get a new customer now. So and you can add all the freebies to it as well. The Ankara, you see the cushion, you can see my backdrop. I think it needs something African there. Prof, I'm sure it does as well, but it will pay for it. My own will be free. It will pay for it.
Oh, I see.
Anyways, thank you so much, Pastor Yemi. Viewers, as we always say, we just don't have pastors. Our pastors are not just pastors. They have other things going on with them that they are into. I didn't even know about the foodstuff business with Pastor Yemi, and see how many things she's told us already today. So thank you so much. We really now know you very well. And for you coming on our show this morning, we have a special treat for you. And the special treat is that, on the Spotlight Minutes, you have 2 options of you go with either tell me something or all about you. But for you, as a special treat, would ask you to go with tell me something. That's your special treat. Yes.
So what a treat usually means something delightful for me. So what is it for me?
Well, this one is just like you have a word that you use as many times as you want. That should be delightful. That should be very...
You get a chance to get to the top of the leaderboard, because there's only one time that's been set. Yeah.
Okay. No pressure.
Okay. Oh, great. That's good. That's what we like to hear. So, Pastor Yemi, you have 30 seconds. And so with this word that I'm going to give you, you just tell us, use the word as many times as you like and as you can. And the timer will be on your screen. If you can't see it, don't worry about it. I'll tell you when your time starts and I'll tell you when it stops. And Prof will help keep an eye on a number of times you're able to use the word. So are you ready? So the word I will give you, this morning is need.
Need, N-E-E-D.
Need. That's right. Yes. Your word is need. So, Prof, are you ready to go?
Ready.
Pastor Yemi, are you ready to go?
Go on then.
So your time starts now.
My son needs new trainers. I need to go to the shop. I need to do the laundry. I need to buy some food in this house. I need a break. I need a holiday. I need to go to New York. I need to go somewhere new. I'm tired of where I am. I need to go to the spa. I need a massage. I need something new. I need some dinner. I need Bolanle to leave me alone. I need Prof to give me a smile. I need to get
Mom.
I need the timer to go off now. I need to go to London.
Wow, that was very.
I need to go and see the queen. I need to be over.
It's over. that was very nice. That was 15. That was 15, 1-5.
How many?
15, 1-5.
Oh, wow.
So that's one behind the leader. The target was 16, so you're 15, but that's still quite high up there. So let's see.
Well, I can't leave you alone, so there's no way I'll leave you.
That was hilarious. So if you didn't know before, you also know that Pastor Yemi is a comedian.
No, right? Yes, viewers, you know right now.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man.
No
that was
worries.
really good. Well done. Well done. That was very good. I think if you had even gone for shorter ones, you would have probably got.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But that was fantastic. That was so good. Thank you so much. And again, viewers, please help us thank Pastor Yemi for joining us this morning. We will see you in service. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in service. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Pastor Yemi, well, full of revelation.
Well done.
There. But this is why we ask you, don't miss SonRise or anything, because our Spotlight Minute always full of surprises. But as we always say, it's time for the service now. We're going to go straight away to the Rock Tower. There's something delightful waiting for us there. Pastor Yemi, the Hill City, and of course, all our brethren who are there in person. God bless you.